Mueller. If you could join us up on the stage. While everybody's joining, in the essence of time, I put together 2 slides really because this whole session, your first session, is going to be on precision ag. And I think everybody in this room will fully recognize that precision ag will fundamentally change the way that we farm. The tools that we use, the methods we use, I think everybody's well aware of that. But as I look and interact with my clients and with companies, that data that's created with precision ag is fundamentally changing not just the farm, but the agribusiness companies that support it and the food companies that purchase that input. So if you think about a craft all the way, this is our source to consume life cycle, kind of a field to fork, the sustainability or the food traceability that craft wants for their consumers, that data is being created by this panel on the farm. And how do we get that data from the farm all the way to really the consumer is another really important piece of precision ag. So don't just think really close to just the farm and precision ag, but really think about how precision ag is impacting everybody in this room. When we look at precision ag from EY, and I work with a lot of our clients to kind of do scans of the innovative products and services that are out there, we really look through 3 lenses. So I'd ask you today, as you hear from the panel, to really think through these 3 big questions. So first, what is the product and service? Just purely, what does it do? How is it going to provide value? What's the market of that product? There's a lot of great products out there. This is a great first question. The second one is start to get to the hard questions and what value does it create? So first of all, if it's aimed at the farm and what they're doing in the field, how does it ultimately create profitability for farmers? Does it increase yields? Does it increase the price when they go to market their products that they can get, or does it reduce their costs? Ultimately, it has to be on one of those levers, or it has to reduce the risk that farmers face for you to have a viable product that's going to go to market. The other piece that's often missed is precision ag innovation that's targeted at agribusiness companies themselves. So again, how can you help Monsanto or Deere create more revenue or also manage their expenses is another piece. And always remember, agribusiness's revenue is farmers' cost. So always keep that in mind when you go with it. And then the very last one, and really the Achilles heel as you look at precision ag, if that product or service needs data from producers or from other companies, how are you going to get that data? First of all, how are you going to establish the trust so you can get that data? Second, once you get that great geospatial data, how can you manage it and control it? And then really the third, how is that data really being used with it? So those are the kind of 3 questions and big questions that we ask as we look through with technology. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed panel. First, introduce Julian Sanchez of John Deere.
All right, good morning. So first of all, everything I'll say here today is Julian's view, not John's view, John Deere, that is. So just keep that in mind. I actually think we're in the midst of several hinge moments that will continue to transform agriculture. We could look back 15 years to where we first put GPS-guided vehicles as sort of a hinge moment in precision agriculture. Certainly, my colleague Chris is up here. He's going to talk about sort of the hinge moment around analytics. Our friends from Granular are also here. But I'm going to try to talk a little bit about just a hinge point around connectivity, right? And the thing about connectivity is, let's just for the purposes of this talk move beyond what we already know is out there. The fact that whether it's easy or not, almost every piece of equipment in farming ecosystems is connected, right? And what I want to try to do today is juxtapose what is already there and with this trend of the Internet of Things, right? And so if we think about the Internet of Ag, what does that mean, right? So I'm going to spend the next probably 8 minutes talking about the Internet of Ag, and again, how we are on the verge of this disruptive moment in connectivity, right? So one of the things about the Internet of Things is you need things. Well, guess what? There's a lot of things in farming, right? And here's some of them. The other thing is that for a while now, I always kind of laugh at the consumer electronics space because they make a big deal of connecting a crackpot to the internet. Well, we've been connecting huge tractors and equipment and sensors and all kinds of stuff to the internet for well over a decade now, right, in agriculture. And so it's sort of like, all right, welcome to the party, consumer space. So these things are already connected to the internet one way or the other. Now the thing though is that where we're at today, it still kind of looks like this. Things are connected to the internet in what I call these sort of data silos, right? And you're going to hear from some folks today that are working hard to try to sort of break through those silos and generate value of all that data. But this is still really pretty much the infrastructure that's out there today. Everybody's got their own cloud and they kind of figure it out how to do it that way. Here's where I think we're headed, right? And I kind of draw these lines. Some go through the cloud, some go point to point. Again, we're on the verge because of the evolution of the Internet of Things as a macro global trend, where interconnectivity between things in the farm, in agriculture, is really going to become much more the norm. And so I'm going to walk through some examples of, what I mean by that, and some points for us to kind of walk away from here and think about. So again, here's just a very simple example. The idea being that you've got a moisture sensor that is able to talk to some of the other things in the ecosystem, and so the moisture sensor is actually not necessarily talking to the tractor right away, but it's maybe talking to the guy that's going to bring you fertilizer, and then the fertilizer truck is talking directly to the tractor planter and trying to kind of figure out logistical things. This happens today, but it happens with people making phone calls or people pulling data. And what I'm trying to convey here is we're on the verge of a point in which, just imagine if all these things essentially talk seamlessly to each other, right? Much in the way that your Nest thermostat at home is going to begin to talk to your garage door opener or your toothbrush. Why, I don't know yet, but it will talk to those things will talk to each other, right? So here's kind of three things to think about as we kind of enter this space where things can talk to things. The first one is, I like to actually just do this brainstorm exercise called, what is your connected halo, right? So if you are in a ag business, you might be involved with manufacturing or producing a thing, right? And I don't care if you're a seed company, your thing would be seeds or bags of seeds or containers of seeds or something like that. For us, it's clearly equipment. If you're in the data analytics space, your thing might be a mobile application or a website. And so you kind of got to start thinking about this idea of like, what does your connected halo look like? And the idea of the connected halo is, what kind of data could your thing generate that is not just necessarily going to drive value for your own customer in that sort of B2C relationship, but when you actually connect it to the connected halo of another thing in the ecosystem, what value does that generate, right? So again, just start looking at things in the farming ecosystem. Actually, you can start at home. Just look at your toothbrush and your coffee maker and say, what if these two things can talk to each other? What would they say to each other, right? What is the connected halo of these two things? I think that's essentially the exercise we need to start going through. The other point here is that I often get the question, well, Julian, if everything is talking to everything, then how do you differentiate? Right? And the very simple to answer to that is analytics, right? So the question here, it's sort of kind of a word scramble, is can your things generate better insights than your competitors' things while connected to the same things, right? And so here's the example, and I, of course, I'm going to bias it toward making John Deere be the differentiator here, but so, there's this kind of random tractor that says, hey, I'm low on fuel, and it's communicating to the fuel truck. And again, the other brand of tractor might say, yeah, I'm low on fuel, but you've built a layer of analytics that says, but I know that there's another tractor in my operation that's closer to you. Why don't you go to them first, right? Again, simple example, but both of these, in this scenario, both of these things have the same connectivity, but it's that layer of being able to generate the insight that's going to make the difference. The last point that I'll end here is, again, we kind of all get into this, this mode of, how do we as companies capture the most amount of value, in this B2C relationship? And in the world of Internet of Things, it's really more about friendships versus features, right? When you talk about features, that's for that B2C relationship. When you talk about friendships, it's the idea that if you sit down with the other manufacturers and service providers in the ecosystem, you might actually be able to capture a lot more value if you partner, right? So again, maybe there's a seed company out there that decides to put a GPS receiver on the bag of seed, right? Low cost, and so that in and of itself probably wouldn't be able to capture that much value. It's sort of like, who's going to pay for a feature so that the bag of seed knows where it is? Well, maybe somebody will, but maybe if you look at it in this scenario where it's not just the bag of seed saying, yeah, I know where I am and so what, but maybe if the bag of seed is talking to the equipment that's actually using it, and those two things are exchanging data, that's where you actually go ahead and capture the value, right? So you are able to, the point is you're able to much more effectively capture value if you think about B2B in this space than just thinking B2C, okay? I'll end with this. We're one of the things that strikes me about the Internet of Things as a trend is that 5 years ago, trying to connect a farm with things in the farm that weren't necessarily of the same brand, you needed highly technical people and probably lots of expensive equipment to figure it all out, right? Right now, if you just go on the internet, you buy Arduino boards and you connect them to these free cloud platforms, and you can actually begin to, farmers who have been innovating themselves forever, right, on their own equipment, on their own operations, probably can go ahead and do this stuff on their own now, right? And that's the kind of like the pivot of the revolution around it, where the barrier to entry to deliver a connected experience is not just up to the manufacturers of things. Actually, it's now the actual farmers and growers will probably be able to do it for very, very low cost and with very, very low need for technical expertise. All right, I'll go ahead and I think Chris is next, or do you want to? Okay.